high ground. On a nice clear day, you can see about 25 miles from on top of this hill. Right now, we can certainly see over 20 miles. But take a look down below you. That is Devil's Den, and that is where Dan Sickles decided to put the flank of the Union battle line. How happy is George Meade when he learns that Dan Sickles abandoned this awesome piece of high ground in favor of that little pile of rocks down there?
Not very happy.
Not very happy. If it helps you to know anything about George Meade, his nickname was the Goggle-Eyed Snapping Turtle, and I cleaned that up to make it G-rated. So when George Meade learned about this move, he's pretty mad, and he rides out to the peach orchard, was out through the trees in front of us, and he meets with Dan Sickles. And Sickles is really proud of himself, thinks he's done a great thing taking that high ground. But George Meade has a very bad temper, and Sickles pretty quickly realizes that, not that he's made a mistake, but that he's made the commanding general really angry. So he offers to pull his men back here towards Cemetery Ridge. His men should be between the big dome of the Pennsylvania Monument and the top of Little Round Top. But George Meade, standing out at the peach orchard, can look just 600 yards in front of him, and he can see the Confederate soldiers starting to form for battle. And he said, "I wish you could pull your men back, sir. Those people won't let you." So now Meade's got to fix the problems created by Dan Sickles, so he sends that man to the hill, that General Gouverneur Warren up there on the rock. He was the chief engineer of the Union Army. General Warren got up here, he started looking around, and he could see the Confederate flank forming to the southwest. Look above Devil's Den and to the left. Can you see a white barn in the field? Yeah. Look straight up from the white barn into the trees. That's where the Confederate flank is forming. Warren knows he's got to get men up here as quick as he can. So he sends his aides down to the valley to our north, your right, just looking for somebody wearing blue, carrying a gun. And they come across a brigade that's about 1,400 men, commanded by a colonel named Strong Vincent. Now, Colonel Vincent has orders to take his men to the wheat field, just on the other side of the trees in front of us. But as he moves in that direction, he runs into one of General Warren's aides. He says, "What are your orders?" And the aide said, "I got to send men to yonder hill," points top of Little Round Top. So Vincent looks back at the low ground of the wheat field, looks up here at the high ground of Little Round Top, and what do you think he chose? High ground. It was not a hard decision, was it? He said, "I got that." And he moved his 1,400 men into position down here on the south side of the hill where the monuments are. His men are up here with only 15 minutes to spare before they're attacked by Confederates. And the Confederates who attack right here in front of us are men from Texas. The Texans stepped off from about where you see the gap in the tree line above Devil's Den. They descend down and they split. Half the Texans head for Devil's Den, the other half head straight for men from Michigan, who are right down here below us, where you see that weird-looking tree. And as the Texans get up here, they start pushing the Michigan men back on their flank, forcing them back towards the New Yorkers. So Colonel Vincent, he's a really brave young guy. He stood on a big rock next to the castle, tried to encourage his men back into the fight, but as he did, turned himself into a pretty obvious target. He was shot through both hips and fell wounded. That doesn't do a whole lot to increase the morale of his men. They keep running up the hill. But by now, General Warren found one more regiment to bring up here. It was the 140th New York, commanded by a colonel named Patrick Henry O'Rourke. O'Rourke is from Ireland, but he grew up in New York. He went to the military academy at West Point, and in 1861, he graduated first in his class. That is the same class that a general named George Armstrong Custer graduated. Have you heard of General Custer?
Yeah.
So I was up there on the front seat of the bus and I noticed this movie called Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian. Have you all seen that? Yeah. Okay, maybe some of you saw it before your trip. So in this movie, General Custer is